Hey everybody, Mike Malai here for Words to Film By. Hope you guys are doing good. Hope you guys are writing. It's been a couple minutes since we've posted something, but we are getting our website ready to roll. So putting some of the final touches on it. Scott's working really hard at that, getting everything ready to go. So just want to address a couple questions. There's been a lot of talk about transitions. Most of the time, these days we don't add transitions. We teach about the transitions. We include it in the book. We show you how to use it in the software and how we say, hey, at the end of the scene, cut to, dissolve to. Well, we don't really do that anymore. That's pretty much left off. If you took all the cut tos at the end of every scene, you're buying several pages of script, pertinent parts to get your story told, to reduce your page count. So better off not to put it. We leave that up to the filmmaker, up to the director, to the editor, in those final stages, whether that, how they're going to handle the transition from one scene to the next. It's not necessary to say it unless it propels the story, unless there's something really pertinent about it. That being said, this is what I'm going to talk about today is about the pullback shot. I think everybody kind of gets it, what it is. Why are we talking about the pullback shot? Well, it's also like us screenwriters have been told, don't direct on the page, leave the camera moves to the filmmaker. That's the director's job. We're not supposed to do that. But here's the truth about, visual storytelling, at times, especially, in the cinema, and then, they're inseparable at times, from the story and the filmmaking. The pullback shot is one of those rare cinematic tools where the movement of the camera itself is part of the storytelling. So the question becomes, how do you write it without crossing into the director's lane and committing that sin? So that's the focus of today's lesson. So what is a pullback shot? Pullback shot is also called the dolly out or a track back. It's when the camera physically moves away from the subject, revealing, more of the environment, more of the story that's going on, the new characters, or, even showing a broader context of what's going on. From a storytelling point of view, the pullback can shift from an intimate scene to something that's epic, something that's large. I love it in Swordfish. If you guys had a chance to see the opening of Swordfish, it's an intimate conversation between Hugh Jackman and John Travolta in the scene. And when I don't want to give any reveals or anything, if somebody hasn't seen it, because this is a great movie. It's really good visual storytelling. And they pull back from this tiny conversation at the beginning, and you think one thing's happening. I can say this: you think that they're having a pitch meeting in Hollywood. Like they're talking about producers and filmmaking, and they pull back to a very, very big scene that you'll dig it. So in that case, it revealed stakes, hidden truths, transition from a personal, emotional to a bigger theme. Sometimes you can think of it as a cinematic way of saying, step back, look at the bigger picture. How to write it without directing. That's the key is being descriptive in your suggestions, not using technical jargon. Don't write the camera pulls back to reveal the army of soldiers waiting outside the castle. Never do that. Instead, try to write the story's discovery, like the walls of the castle no longer seem so massive. Beyond them, an endless sea of soldiers stretches to the horizon. This way, the script creates the need for a pullback without ever directing the camera. The real world screenplay examples, like you look at Shawshank Redemption. With Frank and Andy's rain-soaked escape isn't just a pullback, but the whole script describes the world widening around him. The film naturally pulls back, making his freedom very cinematic. Chinatown in 1974. The the script widens the chaos. After Evelyn's death on screen, Polanski pulls back, leaving Git small, small against the whole sprawl of Chinatown, a metaphor for his insignificance that he was. The Social Network, Aaron Sorkin, that was in 2010. Sorkin makes Mark Zuckerberg all alone, refreshing Erica's page. Fincher stages it is a pullback, visually isolating in the cold, sterile room. Some of the famous pullbacks, let's see, The Godfather in 1972. Coppola takes Michael at the baptism. This one's great. Takes him at the baptism, pulls back to reveal his faith versus crime. It's like, here he is, when the priest is saying, do you renounce Satan? Do you renounce Satan? I renounce Satan. And you're seeing all the killings that are taking place, taking care of business along the way. Goodfellas is the same way too. It's in 1990. Henry's in court. The camera pulls back, reduces him to an average nobody, as he said, a schmuck eating. He ordered some pasta and he ends up getting ketchup on noodles. So there's so many examples. The final cab scene in Taxi Driver in 1976, the pullback leaves Travis in an area disattachment. The examples go on and on. I mean, on television, Breaking Bad, the pilot, Vince Gilligan, Walt and Jesse in the desert pullback shows their smallness in the vast trouble ahead. I mean, that was just so magnanimous, and it became really epic of its whole story. That pullback really stated the way the whole story was. So, how do you suggest a pullback, like in a script example? Let's try one example. Emotional isolation. An empty office at night, interior, INT, night. Sarah sits at her desk, a single lamp burning. She flips through the divorce papers. The office feels too big for her now. It's just oversized. The shadow stretches wider, the silence heavier. Her loneliness fills the room. On screen, director may pull back to emphasize her isolation. That would be the example to him without actually saying it. Another example would be an epic reveal. Exterior, ridge, day. Jonah reaches the top, breathless. At first, nothing but sky. Then below him, the entire valley. Tents, fires, thousands of rebels waiting for the signal. On screen, the director may do a pullback, makes the reveal really cinematic because it's already said it in the text. I think that really makes it clear without directing, without saying any camera shots. Another example would be thematic distance, interior, hospital room, night. Holly grips her son's hand, machines beeping around him. For her, this is her entire world. But outside the window, the city keeps glowing, indifferent. On screen, how the director would put it, a pullback could swallow the room into a larger city, reinforcing the whole theme of that. When Rich and I, teach this in our Words to Film by workshops, we try to remind writers, you're not the cameraman, but you are the storyteller. You are creating the story. You are creating the world. If a scene demands that an audience suddenly see more than what you're writing about right there, but you need to show more, then write it in a moment of discovery into the fabric of the story itself. If you've done your job on the page, the director won't feel like you're stepping in their lane. They'll feel like you gave them a gift. The pullback shot becomes inevitable because you wrote it. The emotional, the thematic truth of it all calls for it. So he already knows how to write it. So why don't you guys try to take a scene you've already seen, or something that you've already written. Take that back. Something that you already written, one that feels too close up or too claustrophobic. Rewrite it so that the scene expands outward, revealing the bigger picture. And do it for yourselves. You don't have to show anybody else, but hey, it's get used to doing it. Give yourself the assignment. Give yourself the lesson on that. So the more you write, the better you get. Don't write pullback ever. Let the imagery and the action create the expansion. Then watch a film this week and spot where a pullback shot is used. Ask yourself, hey, how would have I written that movement on page? There's some cool clips out there. The pullback shot is not just telling the camera what to do. It's about knowing when the story needs that to open up. So that's your jobs for the week. Take a look at some of those clips. Look up the movies that we have attached on the screen there. There's some great scenes that are just perfect for that. So anyway, I hope this helped you, and I hope this makes sense. If you guys got any questions, just shout out to me or Rich. And thank you for using Words to Film By. See you soon.